Hi, I am here at my now closed bar because I am getting ready to tape a fun episode of Flying for Flavor with my co-host this afternoon. But because the times that we're living in, I wanted to say a couple of things, but I didn't want to necessarily say it on the show that would make it understand or seem that all three girls, we all think and believe the same thing. Didn't want to put this on them. I wanted to say this from me to you. I have spent all of my professional life trying to get people to try new things, go new places, travel and see the world. I have a new message for this time in this time here on Earth, and right now it is to please stay home. I wanted to share my experience on how things have happened for us at home. I left for Cuba on a long planned holiday the day prior to the Canadian government telling people to stay at home when we were going to close the borders. My husband and I immediately were on a wait list to come back home right away. Not because we weren't ready to be necessarily stranded in Cuba. We felt safe there. We knew we'd be safe at home, and it was just the getting from there to here. So we got home right away and isolated ourselves for the 14 days. When I say we isolated ourselves, we had our son put groceries in a fridge for us. We actually stayed away from my husband's office and his staff, which is attached to our home. So we had a rental place that we basically parked our butts at. I didn't even order skip the dishes or anything else. No, not even from local restaurants or nothing. We didn't stick our heads out of that suite until we got back home. However, since that time, of course, I'm a big news junkie, so I've been keeping up on everything within our province, within our country, within the continent, within the world, and I'm seeing what's happening, and I get distressed when I'm out to the point where I'm physically feeling ill now when I go to a store. And so here's a little scenario on how I explain it to my husband on how I'm planning to stay in isolation now personally as much as I possibly can within reason. Let me clarify that. I am going to be wearing a mask, whether it's homemade or another thing I have, or I have non-latex gloves, Lysol wipes with me in my purse. I am going to be ridiculously diligent and only go out when I absolutely have to. So here's how I explained it to him, and I wrote down some notes, so that's why I'll keep looking down. So if you want to get out of here and out of this mess in a shorter period of time, to shorten the timeline, we need to all stay home. Every time we go out and to see other people outside of our own little house, that could possibly extend that timeline. So where the province is now saying that we are on track now for having a lower than projected number of cases and deaths by the end of April, it is actually expanded more than that. It can be expanded more than that every time someone says, oh, I just need to go get this. Oh, I really need to go and get this. Oh, I can't stand being in my house anymore. I'm just going to go and wander around the store for a bit. So here's how I explained it using a scenario from when we came out of 14-day isolation. So I hope that you understood it the way that my husband seemed to this morning. After our 14 days isolation were up, I needed to go to the grocery store. It had been 2 weeks. So I took all the precautions. I went to a time when there was barely anybody in there, to a certain time of the day that I knew it was going to be quiet. I went in with a very short list of absolutely need to haves as opposed to wants. And I went through quickly, tried to stay away from as many people. There was only 2 people in the store that were wearing masks and gloves. Couple people I heard kind of clearing their throat and coughing while they were in certain aisles. I actually went around to a different aisle to go there and come back when they weren't. Took every precaution I possibly could. I even washed my hands as soon as I came home. I changed my clothes into another outfit, my at-home outfit, And then I even went through the whole process you see online of prepping my groceries, taking things out of bags, wiping everything down, taking stuff out of packages, did the whole thing. And all I kept thinking is, what if I missed something? It's very possible that I missed something and I could be contagious now and not know it. So it could have been just someone coughing in an aisle. What are the odds I'm getting an emergency alert while I'm doing this? Just someone breathing in the same aisle that I was in. But what if I missed something? Okay, I don't have any symptoms. I go on my day. A few days later, I have to go to the pharmacy because there's a Canada Post outlet in the pharmacy and I had to return something before I got charged for it, for a subscription thing that I have to go and drop it off in time. I'm just going to drop off the box. I'm not buying anything, getting out of there. So I still don't have any symptoms yet. Let's pretend that I did catch something when I was at the grocery store. This is a few days later. Go to the pharmacy, more people in there. Aisles are more narrow. There's more people crowded around. I'm basically standing in line, even with those 6 feet markers. There's someone squeezing in between us to get to the next aisle and beside us. I'm holding my breath, even though I have a mask on, and I'm thinking I'm still fine. What if I wasn't and I did something, adjusted my mask, touched my face, then touched something else? What if I now inadvertently, without thinking I had symptoms, spread it to, let's just say, only 2 other people in that grocery or pharmacy? So now I'm on day 4 or 5 where I think I'm fine, but I probably caught it back when I was at the grocery store. So let's say my day 10 from that grocery store visit, I start developing symptoms, because anywhere they say between 12 and 14 days is when you can develop symptoms. That's the incubation period. So all this time, I'm not feeling anything. I think I'm fine. I'm still, wearing gloves, washing things down, washing my hands whenever. Next thing you know, I'm going to this store. I need to go and pick up beer for my husband. I need to go and drop something off at the post office. I need to go. So I've gone to 4 or 5 different places. Even if I only infected one other person, that person is now not feeling any symptoms, possibly for up to 14 days. You see how it just extended the timeline? Not having symptoms doesn't mean anything. And if we are going to shorten this time frame so we can go back to your favorite little bar, go and do some shopping with your girlfriends on a Saturday afternoon, go and have a coffee and maybe a brunch on a Sunday morning like you used to, we need to shorten that timeline. And the only way to do that is to incubate yourself as much as possible. So what am I going to do? I am going to use every delivery service that I possibly can. I have set up in my house where I have like a front porch because we have an older home. During the day when I'm expecting a delivery, the inside door is locked, the outside door is not when I'm expecting that delivery. So the delivery person can actually drop something off in between those 2 doors and they can let it sit there, lock the door and not touch it for a bit. I am using the grocery store's pickup services. If you can't necessarily get to, or your grocery store near you doesn't have a delivery service to deliver to your home, the pickup services are great because you can actually pull up in front, you call them, say, I'm here at your designated time. The phone, you call them, they come out with your groceries, you pop the trunk without getting out of your car, they load them in the back of the trunk, close the trunk for you, and you are on your way. Once you get to home, then you can go through the same procedures with cleaning up your groceries, making sure you get rid of all the plastic bags, letting things rest outside in a porch or garage, all that kind of thing. But you haven't come physically in contact with anybody. So between that, using up things in your own home for ingredients, and then if it's just a matter of social and physical contact, if you have any kind of technology device like this, I would suggest you start using it. Keep in contact with friends, share pictures and videos with each other. Even for elderly parents, I actually just went and found an old iPad that I had and set it up with Skype on it. And I am sending it out to my parents with very basic things on there so that they don't have to learn new apps, but they will be able to now see my husband and myself, to see their grandkids, to see whatever, so they don't feel so isolated. Between that and checking in and phone calls, there are a lot of different ways that we can kind of get through these next 2 weeks without just binging on Netflix and stressing ourselves out, and trying to rationalize, because that's what we do as humans. We rationalize why we need to go out and do something and why we need to go out and see something. So as much as I am itching to get back and see the world and travel, and I'm itching to go back and go down to wine country, and I'm itching to come back and serve everybody in my wine bar, I know that that's not going to happen until I crack down and stay put. So when you see me out on the street, if you're in Sudbury and you see me having a mask on, now you'll know why. I am doing it for me, and I'm doing it for you. So I'm hoping you'll follow suit. Look online, learn how to make a mask, grab yourself some non-latex gloves from a pharmacy, do like I do and get creative and carry some Lysol wipes or whatever brand you choose in your purse, ladies, and we'll get through this together, and I'll be toasting you with wine very soon, promise. Be well, take care, be safe.